Huang Ho is a Chinese word that means yellow river, and this is the Yellow River. It flows 3,000 miles across the country of China. In some places, the river tumbles and cascades over falls. In other places, like the Flat Delta, it inches along its banks. When you look at the path of the Yellow River on a map, it looks a lot like the shape of a Chinese dragon. Its tail rises high above sea level in the Himalayan mountains. From there, the river loops and twists as it passes mountains and crosses plains before reaching its mouth at the Gulf of Bohai. This is where the river begins, high up in the Himalayan mountains about 15,000 feet above sea level. The melting snow from these peaks flows into streams that trickle across this plateau into two giant lakes. From the lakes, the waters begin the winding 3,000-mile journey to the sea at the other side of the country. Along the way, the river cuts through the Loess Plateau, a large flat area that stretches for hundreds of miles. It's called the Loess because of the fertile soil that was blown here by the wind. It's very good for growing plants, but it has its downside. When the rains wash the Loess silt into the river, it mixes with water. That's what gives the river its yellow color. This silt makes the Yellow River the muddiest river in the world, and all that mud causes problems for people who travel the river and live along its banks. Much of the silt sinks to the bottom, makes the water level rise, and creates an uneven riverbed with lots of rapids, and the waters become too rough for a boat to pass. To make the waters a bit deeper so they aren't rapids, these men explode dynamite. The blasts break up large deposits of silt on the river bottom. But the silt only shifts to other places, and so this solution is only temporary. And even with calm water, crossing the river can still be difficult and a bit dangerous. An ancient way of crossing is still used today. This traveler inflates an oiled animal hide or skin that will just barely keep him afloat in the river's current. But bridges can be difficult to build, and they cost a lot of money. Instead of using bridges, boatmen must cross the river in the same way their ancestors did thousands of years earlier. In some places, the river moves swiftly through these deep gorges, and it's dangerous. The people who live here need the river to travel and transport food and other goods. It can be their best friend, but it also can be an enemy. The river can cause great destruction, so the people who live along the banks try always to be prepared for floods. These men are practicing a flood drill along the banks of the river, so they'll know what to do when there's a real flood here. They use rocks, sandbags, and willow branches to make walls and embankments. This keeps the water from overflowing. Drills like these are taken very seriously because the people who live along the banks know the damage that floods can bring. Since people began keeping records of the floods 3,500 years ago, the river has flooded more than 1,500 times. That's a flood almost every 2.5 years. The first recorded flood caused so much destruction, so many people were killed and homes destroyed, that the Chinese people began to refer to the Yellow River as China's sorrow. In the last century, heavy rains during the summer months have caused most of the flooding. When the river overflows, it destroys homes, bridges, railroads, highways, and crops. The fear of flood is always on people's minds here. Babies are kept in cradles that hang safely above ground, just in case. To guard against floods, people built large walls called dikes to keep the river in its place. Over the last 40 years, more dikes have been built and repaired on the lower areas along the Yellow River, and these protective dikes stretch for almost 1,000 miles. Today, the river's activity is monitored from 4,000 observation places. Dikes are inspected regularly, water levels are surveyed, and the amount of silt is measured to protect and warn against flooding. With all this technology, living along the Yellow River has become safer. But the power of the Yellow River can be useful. It can also provide valuable resources. On its journey from the mountains to the sea, the Yellow River cuts through deep gorges and treacherous falls. All this water means power. And this power can be harnessed to make electricity. There are 4 hydroelectric plants that generate electricity on the river. This one supplies power to millions of homes. And the river supplies more than just electricity for the people who live along its banks. It's also a source of water for farmland. Bringing water to the farmland through a system of canals is called irrigation. When the silt-filled water is returned to the soil through irrigation, it brings along precious minerals as well. This is what keeps the soil fertile and helps plants to grow well here. And so the 320 million people who live along the river's banks have come to peace with the river. They have learned to tame the dragon that we call the Yellow River.